Are you ready? It's time for Disturbin' the Burbs.
Hey, here we are. We're out in the studio once again. How you doing, Jen?
I'm doing surprisingly well.
Yeah, I think it's episode 12.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, we keep on going, just like the Energizer Bunny.
Yep.
Just keep on going and going and going.
Still fun.
Yeah, it's not as often as I'd like it to be. I'd like to get on the regular cadence of at least once a week, but
For sure.
we're kind of once a week-ish right now.
Right.
So, but hey, thanks everybody for downloading or tuning in or streaming or whatever you're doing. But we're just glad that you've decided to give Disturbin' the Burbs yet another listen.
Yep.
Here
We're glad you're enjoying it.
Yes. Jen and I certainly have enjoyed entertaining you in one way or another. Hopefully we've made you laugh. We've made you cry. We've made you confused.
Sure.
Oh, man, beautiful day today. It's kind of
deserve
crazy. It's crazy times.
It has been a crazy week for sure.
Yes, this is crazy times. And I'm sure everybody knows what we're talking about, coronavirus.
Coronavirus, like for this recording compared to the last time we talked about it.
Right. Yeah. No, it's been a few episodes since we last talked seriously about the coronavirus, which now we know is codenamed COVID-19.
Yeah, there's almost nothing else to talk about.
Right. Especially up here in the Seattle area where it's very polarizing. So much has happened up here. And we're going to get into that here in a little bit
later.
Yeah. It's beautiful, sunny afternoon. We're not
Daylight savings time has happened. So here it is in the evening and it's still sunny and beautiful out. And we deserve that.
Right. And it's what's been amazing is... in a bad way, not necessarily in a good way, is because one effect of the coronavirus is that a lot of local businesses have been suffering. And,
it's tragic.
Yeah,
really.
they've been the patrons have been getting less and less at the local area restaurants, and so that's kind of what we were doing tonight. One of our local favorites, Emery's restaurant, that's on Silver Lake. They're in kind of what would you call it, Mill Creek, Everett area. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We went over there and had a little bit of food.
Partook.
Had their version of the Paloma, which is lesser than our Paloma, but still a good Paloma.
It's good. It's good.
So we had to come home, cleanse our palate, and make our own version of Paloma, which we seem to drink all the time.
My precious.
So I'm going to take another lovely drink of... I don't know if it's lovely or not, but I'm going to take a drink of a lovely beverage.
For the longest time, you and I have called our special drinks lovely beverages.
Right.
I remember growing up, my parents called them special drinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, special drinks, lovely beverages. Booze. Yeah. So, yes, enjoying a nice, lovely beverage out in the Disturbin' the Burbs studios. So we might as well talk about... the inevitable, and that's the coronavirus and everything that's going on with the corona. Where's the tally at right now? Where are we at?
I haven't actually seen anything today, but I think we're up over 30 deaths in the United States, like 32, 33.
Yeah, it's like 32 deaths right now.
But like 30 of those are from here in Washington,
from the Seattle area, just kind of in our own backyard.
Partially because this is where it started, but also because the majority of the deaths have all happened within one nursing home in Kirkland. Right. And it's really sad.
Right.
And I think they finally have a handle on it there. Mm-hmm. But,
Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of starting to spread out a little bit more. And I almost kind of feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better. But
I think also that the government and whoever the powers that be are taking the steps that need to be taken now.
Mm-hmm. A little bit late in the game.
Yeah, but we're learning from other countries' disastrous experiences with it.
Right.
Italy, for example.
Sure.
whose infrastructure has just been absolutely overwhelmed.
Right.
And they're to the point where their emergency rooms are acting on like wartime.
Right. No, their IC units are completely full.
They're having to decide who lives and who dies.
Right.
That's absolutely tragic.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that we're on these social distancing measures before it gets to that point.
Right.
And I think we are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing the effect that it's having. I know, on a much smaller scale, obviously a lot of places around Seattle have actually closed down businesses or large corporations.
Working from home for the foreseeable future.
Right. Yeah. Facebook. Amazon has closed down. Microsoft. I think Google is following suit.
University of Washington and of course other campuses.
Right. My own office, which I don't know, there's probably within my organization, there's probably 130, 140 people. We have a very liberal work from home policy. And so I was actually in the office today and I saw a sum total of maybe 10 people in the office for various reasons.
Well, and that is probably happening at tons of companies around the area, more than the full closures and everybody must work from home. There's got to be tons of companies doing what yours is doing. Mm-hmm. And hence, how long was your commute?
Yeah, no, the commute was nice and easy. Normally it's an hour and a half, on a regular basis, but lately it's been 35 minutes. So that can kind of tell you, how many people are actually staying
off
home
the roads,
as at least the state government tries to get a handle on what's going on in the state of Washington and of course the greater Seattle area where it's been pretty heavily hit.
Right.
So, and then there's just the trickle down from there. If people aren't downtown working, they're not going to the local restaurant establishments,
Yeah, people are being told to do social distancing. Don't avoid the group gatherings, and that includes restaurants. Yeah. And they're being hit hard already.
Yeah, I've gotten so many emails from restaurants that we have frequented over time, and saying that some even closing down permanently because of the effects already, and then some actually more or less begging you to still come out and dine at their establishments because they're keeping things as clean as possible, but obviously they're having issues with
or if you can't come out and eat, consider buying a gift certificate so that you can have basically a prepaid night out later, that you can help keep them going now. I've seen that in a few cases as well. And so, word to the listeners, if you can do that and help our local economy keep going, get out there and buy some gift certificates to your local restaurants.
Right. We're doing our part. We went out to Emery's.
Yeah, we're still okay with
we ate food. we drank lovely beverages. And we actually assembled the outline for tonight's episode, basically while we were having dinner.
Doing that. So.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, it's kind of crazy being downtown Seattle and just looking outside my office window and just seeing empty streets, which are normally full of tourists or full of
cars, walkers, all that.
Everything. So it's a bit crazy, and
Weird.
Yeah, it's very surreal to say the least.
We will get through this.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. I can't imagine how long.
It's historical for sure.
And it kind of goes to show where nobody was prepared for something like this happening, which is kind of bizarre that we weren't, but who knew, right?
Yeah.
So it's affected our travel for one thing, in a couple of ways. I was supposed to go to a conference last week in San Francisco, and the conference was canceled because sponsors and presenters were pulling out of the conference. Mm-hmm. So I got that notification and had to cancel my trip. But then you and Carter were going to come. You were
going to come down for the weekend to San Francisco.
Visit your sister and our brother-in-law, and we had to cancel that. And luckily, the hotels and airlines gave credits or refunds, so we were very, very lucky there.
Another time,
right? Yeah. But that was just a small indication of my workplace has suspended all unnecessary travel.
Right.
I think we know folks in the travel industry that are dealing with a lot of issues and concerns, and even concern that their small agencies are going to close down due to the fact that people are pulling out of wanting to travel altogether. And I think that just goes to show that, there's kind of a general fear and
well, a lot of these things are unprecedented. I mean, I've never seen the NBA announce that their season is shutting down.
Right.
That today, Major League Baseball announced the same. Their season will not take place.
Right. Sports are on hold. It's the NBA.
Disneyland.
Right. The Major League Baseball is postponing for a couple weeks the opening game. The NHL canceled.
Did they as well?
Yeah. Major League Soccer. A bunch of college tournaments have been canceled. And, all of this goes to show that the San Francisco 49ers still suck. Oh, boy. Just had to push that one in there.
Well, can you imagine if this is still going on in the fall? Mm-hmm. I mean, they may cancel baseball, they may cancel basketball, but no one's taking our football.
Right. No. I saw a game that was being played, maybe it was in China or Japan or something like that, a baseball game, and there was nobody in the stands.
Oh, no.
It was completely empty, but they were still playing the game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that has happened here in the States at all. I kind of think I saw a game being played where there was a basketball. I think it was a basketball game being played with nobody in the stands.
I was going to say, I know it's rude, but I don't follow baseball at all.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't think that's rude.
Well, sorry, Mariners. You got to prove yourselves before I'm coming back.
So that's
another topic for another day, though.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been kind of crazy how everything has just gone sideways.
Well, the fact that Disneyland is shutting down is just another level to me.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, musicals have canceled their productions. Mm-hmm. We're talking Broadway here.
We were supposed to go see a stand-up comedian in a couple of weeks on the 20th. Louis Black, he canceled, rescheduled for December. We may be safe by December.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's really kind of crazy. And of course, the latest news, right? The celebrity news. Tom Hanks came down and was tested positive.
No.
For coronavirus, and his wife Rita Wilson, she was also, but more importantly, Tom Hanks.
Hey.
Tom Hanks, national treasure. We cannot lose Tom Hanks to COVID-19.
I'm sure they'll be fine. But I hate to do this. I hate to bring up a meme, but I had to admit that I laughed out loud seeing this. Tom Hanks announces he has been tested positive for the coronavirus, and in the next panel we see John Wick, Keanu Reeves, all weaponed up like he's going to go and defend Tom Hanks. It's like, we can't have this.
That's pretty funny. Anyway,
sorry,
they were down in Australia. I don't know why they were down in Australia.
He's filming a movie there.
Oh, okay.
About Elvis.
Yeah, that's right. So why in Australia?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Okay. Does it involve hobbits at all?
An Elvis movie?
I don't know. So, why would they film down in Australia?
I don't know.
Isn't that where Lord of the Rings was filmed?
It's not a Hollywood
was it New Zealand? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, and I guess for some reason, testing for COVID-19 is really super easy and quick.
Right. Yeah, it's just the United
What
States
the heck?
is having a problem with it.
What's our issue? I just don't understand. That was me kind of burping.
That's lovely.
Yeah, I stuttered my speech there. So those palomas are already hitting me.
I'm going to have another sip.
Yeah, have a sip of, and I'll do the Jeopardy theme.
I'm all set.
Yeah, okay. And of course, one of the crazy things that has also happened, and we are, being affected firsthand, is our son's school has closed down for 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, it started earlier this week. First North Shore announced that they were going to be out for a couple weeks, and then, gradually the schools started to trickle in. We're going to be closed for 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. Then yesterday, the first couple of districts were announcing 6 weeks, and we're freaking out. It's like, okay, pretty much all the districts around us have announced some sort of closure, but it wasn't until after 8 p.m. last night that we finally heard.
Right.
And
it first started with the Seattle School District.
Seattle, yeah.
Yeah. And then everybody started following suit with 2 weeks. And then us here up in Snohomish, our Snohomish School District had to say, ha, 2 weeks is nothing.
Monroe and Granite Falls were both 6 weeks, and I was just waiting, and I was actually surprised that we were one of the 6 weeks ones.
Yeah.
But then today, the governor's office did another announcement that they were asking all school districts in King, Snohomish, and Pierce counties to close for 6 full weeks.
Wow. That's just nuts.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
here we are.
Yeah. We'll have our son Carter actually come in here in a little bit and kind of give his impression of what's going on and how he thinks. Student's perspective. He's a freshman in high school, and he certainly has his own perspective of what's going on. I'd love to hear how it affects him. So somewhere right around in here, we'll have him come in. He'll do a little side bit. We'll insert it in the podcast. It'll magically appear. I don't know how smooth.
Right here.
So, hey, we've got our handsome young son here on the mic, like we said we were going to, and he's going to answer a few questions. This is the first time for him being on the podcast. So, Carter, welcome to Disturbin the Burbs. It's the first time for you.
Yeah.
How's it feel?
Good.
How's your voice sound on the mic? Sounds pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes it sound deep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time when I'm with friends.
All right, because you game, you hear your voice probably over the headset and mic, so it's something very similar to that.
Yeah.
So anyway, coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Of course, the big news for you, school's been canceled for 6 weeks.
Sort of.
Sort of, yeah. How does that make you feel? How was it today going to school after the big announcement?
Basically, the teachers were doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They basically just gave us a free period. Just, hey, if you need to do anything, finish that up, and you just mess around if you want to.
Mm-hmm. Now, what were you expecting? Were you expecting something different?
I was expecting, for the 5 weeks that we have at home, other than a spring break,
right.
I was expecting homeschool where we go and do work over the computers with our teachers still,
right?
Which they still might,
right?
And
what makes you happier, the lack of schoolwork, or
none of it makes me happy? In fact, I would much rather actually just go to school and miss 6 weeks of it.
Right.
I mean,
what's the fear?
Forgetting things that I've learned, like especially for math.
Sure.
I mean, I'm gonna forget all of the stuff I've learned, and
well, it sounds like they're going to take this next week and they're going to try and come up with a game plan of some sort of continuing education, whether it's online or whatever. So hopefully there'll be something there for you. So I know that the coronavirus or COVID-19 has been a big topic. How have the kids been reacting to it at school?
A lot of people were just not really caring about it. They weren't overreacting. It was like, it's overhyped. It's not that big of a deal. We can deal with it. I don't think school's going to be canceled. Mm-hmm. Which I was one of those people. I didn't think school was going to be canceled for nearly as long as it was. Mm-hmm. I didn't think coronavirus was even that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, it's just kind of like the flu.
Mm-hmm. Is that kind of what you were getting? Is that what the feeling is amongst your peers at school, that they are all still kind of feeling like it's just the flu and what's the big deal?
Yeah, and then there was a lot of people that were like really scared of it. It's like, I gotta be really careful. Mm-hmm. I mean, the media said a lot of things that, of course, aren't true about it, like those face masks. Masks, those do nothing. It's an airborne virus, so you're still breathing that stuff out. And when you cough, that's still going everywhere for other people to breathe in. So wearing those does nothing. Doing a lot of, eating different foods, and drinking different things, so like that they say do help against it. Don't actually do that. Meanwhile, water. Of course, drinking water helps, and eating different things that help your immune system, that are known to help your immune system. Of course, those are good to eat and stuff. But media saying things about random foods or drinks that you never knew about, that would just randomly improve your chances of not getting it. They were, believing all of that. They were believing all of the panic the media were putting out. So it's just.
So what have you personally been? What's your personal feeling about it?
I don't.
Are you worried about it at all? Do you not care? Do you think it's blown way out of proportion?
At first, yeah. At first, I did think it was not that big of a deal. What I was seeing was just, it was not that, infectious. It wasn't that dangerous. It wasn't killing that many people, except for in China, which, they don't have the greatest healthcare there. So, I wasn't really surprised that a lot of people were dying down there, but I wasn't really scared of a ton of people, spreading it to other countries, and then a lot of people getting infected in other places and dying in other places. Even when there was just a few, I was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. We can get past it easily.
Right.
But, as time went on, more and more people were getting it, getting confirmed cases.
And it was happening at a very rapid pace, too.
Yeah.
So I think that, to me, is probably the most alarming part, is how quickly it's spreading. And, a lot of people say, hey, it's not any worse than the common flu that we see every season. In fact, there's thousands of people that die from the flu every year, and only a small portion has died from, COVID-19. And but what's most alarming is how quickly it's spreading, and the new cases that we hear about all the time. So, yeah, so it's affecting us. And what are your closest friends saying? I know you have buddies that you game with all the time. What are their feelings? Do you guys talk about it at all, or?
One of my friends was staying home multiple more of the days than were just canceled, just because of his parents being very cautious about it. A lot of my other friends I didn't really see skipping. Most of my friends I saw at school. I mean, there were a couple of my friends that were already sick prior to most of the panic, so they just decided to stay home and not risk it any further.
Right.
And which good on their part.
Right. Have you had a chance to talk to your friend Jackson that lives over in Spokane? Are the same things happening to him and his school over there?
I haven't really talked to him much about what's happening to him and his school over there, but I'm most likely, yeah, because it's not that far away, so it's not canceled.
It's not canceled yet. Jen's listening in on this, and she says it's not canceled yet. So she's talked to Jackson's mom, it sounds like. So, so the east side of the state hasn't been as affected as it is up in the Seattle area where it first started. So, anything else you want to add?
Well, the actions we've been taking, I've been being picked up by my mom instead of taking the bus full of crowded people.
Right.
They've definitely warned to not be in an enclosed area with more than 250 people. So being on a small closed-in space full of 30-40 people on a bus,
right,
probably not a good idea.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. It's kind of the same thing with public transportation down on the metro in Seattle, or any of the local buses, transportation buses. They've been going to extra lengths to keep those extra clean, because that's, yeah. Yeah,
speaking of extra clean, before any days were really canceled, or it was really being talked about the days being canceled, they were definitely very serious about cleaning things up at school. Like every day after school, we were told to leave our chairs down instead of putting them up like we normally do, because they would come and do a deep cleaning every day. Definitely every day. I mean, each day I was definitely seeing like less and less people show up as well. Like every day in my 6 classes, at least 1 or 2 people were not there each other day, and eventually got to the point where there was 20 instead of 30 people in each of my classes.
Right.
And it's definitely it's a noticeable difference before the days were really canceled.
Right.
But yeah, the 6 weeks being canceled is definitely going to change how the school is going to work. Like, even if they do give us or figure out how to give us work and do the school over the 6 weeks that we have, when we get back, there's still going to be a ton of rearrangement with how teachers are going to hand out work and do work.
Right.
It'll either end up being crammed, and there will be a lot of cramming in the end of the year, because the mayor actually also said that the schools can't go past June 19th, I think.
Right.
So we lose out on, basically like 4 weeks.
Well, my feeling is that they'll probably accommodate for that. It's going to be what it is. It is what it is. And you guys will learn as much as you possibly can between now and the end of the school year. And hopefully you'll be prepared for, your next year, your sophomore year. So I'm hopeful that they'll do some sort of online thing so you kind of keep things fresh in your head, but they'll probably just pick up where you guys left off and end at the end of the school year where they have to end, and basically not finish off the complete curriculum, but they'll just kind of cut it short a little bit. That's my hope anyway, and they won't just be trying to cram and test the hell out of you, until the end of the school year.
Well, I was actually talking to my my first period teacher about those things, asking her questions, and for her running start students at the extra college curriculum class, their testing not delayed at all. Basically, when they get back, they have that week to refresh themselves, and then they're immediately testing again. Like the the standard, the required tests for that class, they still have to take those basically as soon as they get back. And also, she said that all the work that we're doing in her class currently, we'll probably just have to go to the next section of learning and just have to completely skip the rest of the stuff that we would do for that, because it would be so long in between that. It'd be basically useless to go back to it. Same with my second period teacher. He said that we'd probably just have to skip out on the tests and quizzes, do just a quick review, and then get on to the next thing, just to get through it as much as possible.
All right. Well, it sounds like it's going to be interesting once things get back into full swing. So anything else you want to add about your experience with the coronavirus? No?
Nah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Carter. It was a lot of fun having you on the podcast for the first time. Don't be a stranger. Sometime we'll do an episode on gaming or something like that, something relevant to your world. Electronic music or something. I don't know. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So anyway, just the school closures and everything have just really affected.
This is why we drink.
Yep. and it's not really playtime. It's really kind of a weird, surreal.
That's a long time.
It's a long time to be out of school.
And apparently we're not going to hear. I mean, we're on Thursday right now. School closure starts tomorrow. Today was the last day, and next week they will be discussing and letting us all know, parent-wise, what they're going to do as far as continued learning. Because we're hearing that there's not going to be any official continued learning because not everybody has equal access to it. But they're saying that they're going to try and figure something out. So I hope they're going to do something.
Yeah, I told Carter, hey man, it's not 6 weeks of just sitting and playing video games. We got to figure out some way to kind of keep the education going. But my fear is that it's just going to end up extending into his summer vacation.
I know. And they're saying that they won't extend the school year past June 19th. We'll see.
Yeah, I sure hope not, because we've got a big trip coming up in
hopefully
this summer. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're gonna accelerate with COVID-19. We haven't seen the worst yet, but I'm hoping with all the precautions that the states are taking. I've seen from not just from our state, but from other states where there's just complete lockdowns.
Yeah, it's happening.
Governor
# flatten the curve.
Right. Governor Jay Inslee of Washington State has issued that no gatherings of 250 people or more are supposed to happen. So that's why a lot of the sports things are getting canceled. And
he's been very
concerts.
proactive. And others have followed, suit after that because we were the first state to be really heavily affected.
Sure. I just hope that all this effort and of people working from home and staying, in their own spaces actually has a positive effect, and we can see that within a short period of time. If this drags out into April and May and beyond, who knows what's going to happen and how that's going to affect the economy. We've already seen that it affects the stock market in big ways.
Yeah.
So.
And then the small businesses.
Yeah, and small businesses. So this could really have.
But the idea is that with the social distancing, people staying at home, avoiding large gatherings, is that not as many people will be affected all at once, overwhelming the infrastructure, overloading the emergency rooms, and that while over a longer period of time, about the same amount of people will get it and get over it, they won't overwhelm the emergency rooms. And that's the key right there. Right. That's why we're doing all this. Yeah. And
I'd read a news story too that Bill and Melinda Gates and the Gates Foundation had come up with a plan to start delivering testing kits.
Like home testing.
Yeah, home testing kits. And those, I don't know a timeline of any of that sort of thing. But, it's great that the one of the world's richest men lives in our backyard.
I know.
Not literally, folks. He doesn't live out by the hot tub. But, he does live a very short distance away. His office is actually just up the street from where I work. So I run into him all the time.
His foundation.
His foundation. And so it's great that, they're working towards a solution. So that's kind of cool. And one of the other big effects too that everybody is seeing all over social media is the groceries, right? And the preppers,
Totally freaking out over toilet paper.
I don't know. And I don't know if I should be a prepper or not. I feel like, okay, do these people know something that I don't? I love all the memes that are coming out. With all the toilet paper being bought, you see some people saying, does coronavirus cause diarrhea, explosive diarrhea, or what's going on? What's with the purchase of all the toilet paper? And then you see the cartoon with, meanwhile in Seattle, somebody's built a fort out of toilet paper rolls, and they see two eyes peering out of the toilet paper fort. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Or some people are not shaking hands because of coronavirus. I'm not shaking people's hands because everybody's out of toilet paper.
Right. I've been telling my friends on social media, as long as you have a garden hose out in the backyard, you don't need toilet paper.
Stop.
So I'm just saying, there's a sunny side to everything. So, but yeah, you and I went to Costco recently, and it's still happening. People are still going and buying.
People are not yet calming down.
Ridiculous amounts of toilet paper and water. But what did we come away with? Snacks.
Yeah.
Big, huge bags of munchies, and of course, we're a little keto, so the munchies are for Carter, the keto snacks are for us. Bags and bags and bags.
Chips
cauliflower chips and this and that and the other thing, beef jerky, you name it. Meat and cheese, and meanwhile everybody's got the toilet paper.
And even Safeway. I mean, all we needed. We're out of 409. I wanted one bottle of 409, and the entire section of cleaners at Safeway empty.
Yep.
So nuts.
Yeah, people are, it's understandable. People are wanting to take precautions, but it's just kind of interesting the
hoarder mentality.
Yeah, and I guess that's just something that that was one thing that we were talking about is, should we be prepping for the apocalypse? I think that's what the mentality is, right? Is that it's going to be a virus outbreak. Granted, we've watched too many movies, so we've got that as our influence.
Well, okay, I will admit, in the past, I have gone a little bit down the prepper rabbit hole, after we'll have a little earthquake, and I'll start, I know we should really have an earthquake preparedness kit, and so you can go out on the internet and look at ready-made kits, that you buy for, this is one for each person, and there's different size kits. But from there, oh my God, it is a rabbit hole. You can just go down and you find these prepper websites, and they talk about.
And that's where I found this definition, because I was curious what a prepper means,
go ahead,
right?
Define it.
And it says a prepper is someone who actively prepares for worst case scenarios, such as the end of the world, by practicing survivalist techniques, including hoarding food. On a slightly less dystopian note, prepper can also refer to prep school. So someone who attended prep school and sports a preppy look.
Oh, come on.
So I was kind of a preppy in high school, but
different.
I don't think that's what a prepper is. But yes, that's
It's so much more than hoarding food, though. I mean,
I
these
think so.
people are. Okay, I won't say they're crazy,
don't say they're crazy, because then somebody's going to show up our door with a shotgun.
We'll just say they're extreme. I mean,
I wouldn't even go that far.
It's
People
more
don't
than
like being
hoarding
called extreme.
food.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. It's hoarding food. It's hoarding toilet paper. It's hoarding water.
It's going fully off grid. If you're really this extreme.
Yeah. So.
It's getting out of, they've got these terms, get out of Dodge before the shit hits the fan. And
they're acronyms too, right?
Yeah. Shit hits the fan. SHTF.
Yep. Shit hits the fan. What are some of the other ones? You were telling me about some of the other acronyms.
You got to be ready with your bug out bag. B.O.B.
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 What's B.O.B.?
Bug out bag.
Oh, bug out bag.
Because when you're going to bug out.
Folks, do you have your bug out bag? I don't have a bug out bag. Bring your own beer. Maybe that's what Bob.
Anyway, I've looked at these prepper websites, and they go full on conspiracy theorist. Not all of them, but they're tracking coronal mass ejection. Where they're the sun flare idea, right?
Coronal mass ejection. That sounds like somebody's had too much beer and they're throwing up.
It's the idea where a sun flare is going to do a whole,
It's going to roast the U.S.
It's going to roast the U.S. or get rid of all the electronics, like a
a pulse,
EMP, electromagnetic pulse,
right?
And we're gonna be in a new age, basically,
right?
So this is what they're thinking extreme.
So it's a survivalist mode,
exactly.
Right? But if that happens, then they're
saying
not
have a property out in the wilderness,
right? But here's the problem: if there is a solar flare, an EMP, that's going to actually disable their vehicles. So it's going to take them forever to get out their property in the wilderness anyway. They probably never make it.
I mean, they talk about things like solar powered bicycles. I mean,
oh yeah,
they account for all of this. Living off the grid.
Right. They've talked about
gardening, storage of food.
Sure, absolutely.
There's this one acronym. Let me find it. It's super long. Okay, I mean, if you're reading, it's like Teotwawiki. It's the end of the world as we know it. That's the acronym for that.
Right. Or you could just say it's the end of the world as we know it.
Oh, I know that, but
it's a great song by REM.
But if they're writing it all out, it's this TEOTWAWKI, right?
Yeah. That's
talking
nuts.
about medical supplies, communications, gardening, fuel and home power,
Yeah, I mean, I went out on prep. There's actually a website called prepper.com because I was curious of, what are some of the things that I should be gathering together if I was in prepper mode.
Right.
And
generator.
Well, they had like 15 big ticket items, that every prepper should be getting.
Okay.
But then they had it spelled out in food, and I would die if I had to eat this food on a regular basis. Although it has beans and rice because I like beans and rice.
Yes, you do.
But, they were like, if you're going to actually be a prepper and prepare, you need at least a year's supply of long shelf survival food. Some of the survival foods.
Think about the shelf space that's going to take.
I know. Just imagine we'd have to get rid of all of our Christmas decor to make room for...
really, we should be doing this in our mountain property, right?
Right.
That we can get to.
Yeah. But rice, crackers, dried cranberries. I don't know what's so great about dried cranberries as opposed to dried raisins that's dried grapes, actually. Yeah. That's right. Keep your UTI clean. Eating the cranberries, but stuff like honey, molasses, and maple syrup. Dried lentils, dried beans, dried split peas. Gross. Split peas, I think, are nasty.
Yeah.
Dried Jell-O mix. Why would you need dried Jell-O mix?
Well, it doesn't go bad.
Who's going to eat Jell-O in the apocalypse?
I don't know.
So anyway, gobstoppers, that was one of the things on preppers.com. I'm not making this up because they just last forever. So
sure. Okay.
They provide no nutritional value, but...
if you want sugar, these are going to last you the longest.
Right. Gobstoppers should be on your list.
That's funny.
Dried pasta, obviously dried fruits, instant coffee. Thank God that's on the list because I wouldn't be able to do without coffee. Hey, if that's the only kind of coffee I would get, yeah, you would bring up tea bagging.
Stop. The tea bags.
Okay, tea bags. cornstarch in case, you're sweaty in your crotch.
Stop it.
You need the cornstarch to dry that out. Baking soda, I can understand that, especially if you mix baking soda and vinegar. Isn't that kind of an explosive?
Right.
I don't know. Corn syrup. Didn't I already say? No, I said maple syrup. Of course, all the spices, salt, sugar, pepper, spices, dried herbs, vinegar, and then, of course, wine, spirits, and liquors. Because, there's nothing like surviving the apocalypse if you have lots of whiskey on hand. But then, like, the big ticket items that they suggest are like a water filtration system, which that makes complete sense, right? The one thing, if we are going to buy property out in the sticks, I'd want to make sure that we buy a piece of property that's next to a flowing river of some sort.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that makes sense. Food dehydrator, but...
Who doesn't like beef jerky?
Right.
And fruit leather.
Right. Fruit leather, beef jerky. What else is there?
Dried apples.
Yeah, you can do that.
Dried vegetables.
Crossbow. That was one of the interesting things.
Oh.
So not just for hunting animals, but potentially killing people that are trying to get at your stuff. Well, that's what I've watched all the movies.
I know.
Everybody has a crossbow.
People are awful.
Especially when it comes to zombies. So...
Well, that's another prepper term, though. Zombies, it doesn't mean actual zombies. It means, like, you're a prepper, you're prepared, you have everything. And then all those people out there that didn't prepare, they're desperate, they're looking sickly, and they're out for everybody else's food. That's what they call zombies, even though they're not, like, the undead.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
Still,
sure. There was one thing on the list called a reverse osmosis water filter.
Oh yeah,
I have no idea what that is.
I don't know how it works either, but it is about.
I'm sure Amazon has it. Let's get on that. Order that. Yeah. Okay. Solar generator kit. I can see where that. Portable solar cooker. A wood burning stove.
In the Pacific Northwest, we don't get enough sun for those things to be fully powered very well.
Yeah, maybe not. A vacuum sealing system. So
hey, we have one of those.
I just don't. Well, okay, I guess
food freshness.
I guess air rifle. So I could understand that. A little rocket stove, and those just kind of individual little stoves, like a camping stove, which I could see that. Gas powered portable generator. But then if you had that, I don't think
store gasoline.
Right. Where are you going to put all the gasoline? Danger. So this is kind of
still dependent on
it's dependent on things that will probably be in short supply in a very, very quickly. So high quality multi-tool, which is like a Leatherman or something like that, which is always good to have. And then a couple more things: ultraviolet water disinfection system.
So a lot of tools for keeping water clean.
Right. Well, that's you got to have water in order to survive. So, and then the last one on the list, which I thought was kind of funny, was the electric mountain bike. So, if you want to go for a nice Sunday afternoon ride and you don't want to have to pedal yourself, just get
gasoline is gone, huh?
Right. Well, yeah, I guess if you're going to travel around, that is the way to do it. So anyway, that's what I kind of found out about. If we're going to, get serious about prepping, those are the kind of things that we need.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there are people that are seriously into this. They're ready for the end of the world. And they're thinking that we're the sheep that are with our... I'm mixing my metaphors here. Yeah. We've got our heads buried in the sand.
That's an ostrich.
Yeah.
Now, a sheep might actually put its head in the sand, but I don't know. That would...
Anyway.
Yeah, that's not painting a good mental image. So...
So you decide what degree of prepper you want to be, I guess.
Well, I liked the idea of buying property out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Where would you want to be? Like if it just everything went to shit, where would you want to be?
I mean, do we want to stay somewhat local?
Well, here's the thing. Is I'd want it remote enough so you couldn't find me, but it's got to be close enough that I can get there fairly quickly and that it doesn't take us a long time to get there. So, Washington's great. There's tons of national forests around.
Well, now, I'm thinking from where we are going up Highway 2, like towards Leavenworth.
Oh, yeah. No, Icicle Creek.
In there.
Right. But now we've just revealed that if you want to find the Sharons during the apocalypse, come up to Icicle Creek.
Icicle Creek's fully in Leavenworth. There's that other place where I used to picnic as a kid.
Right.
There.
Oh, and what's that place?
We're not going to say that.
Can you mouth it to me? She's not mouthing it to me. Okay, yeah, no, okay, right, yeah. Yeah, no, that would be a good place. And actually, I've looked. It's been probably a couple years, but there was lots of property for sale up in that area.
Yeah.
So that might be, something legit that we might want to do something. Now, would you be on that property and have a visible abode of some sort, A-frame, cabin?
Yeah,
or would you want to bury something under the ground?
Both. See, I think we should make it a vacation property, so that those we trust, can come up there with us, and we can do the occasional, weekend getaway.
But we get a couple of shipping containers.
But they don't need to know what all we got.
Bury those suckers underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that story that we saw not too long? It was probably a year or two ago, where that guy had, 30.
Yeah, it was a lot.
30
like
school buses.
A network. It's like practically a city underground.
Right. And buried them underground, and they just were all connected, and it was his doomsday. Yeah, doomsday survival.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So whether it's sun flares or coronavirus or nuclear war,
I'm kind of mixed on whether I would want to purchase property or whether I'd want to. What is it called when you squat on?
Squat. Yes, we were talking about this, and I think we need to just purchase.
Yeah, but
if you want, we can purchase under a phony name, a shell name. I don't know how you would go about
Harvey
that.
Lipschitz. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that nobody knows that we own that property.
Right. Yeah. So we could potentially do that.
I would be scared to squat on a property and potentially get booted. Especially if we're putting, time and money into making it ours and storing stuff underground and stuff. I want it to be mine.
Should we start doing this?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, but first, can we remodel the kitchen?
Yeah, we can. Okay. And the powder room. Let's get that shit done first, and then we can start being preppers.
All right,
and
awesome.
survivalists.
Thanks, honey.
Yeah. So let's get that shit done first.
Okay.
So we can actually, the resale value of the house goes up.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yep. Survivalists, preppers. Reminds me of movies that we've watched.
As always.
Nice segue, right?
Right. Well, I'm
going to have to watch Contagion again, because that's one that keeps on coming up.
With the coronavirus,
Right.
we've talked about all the.
I think that movie must be
virus movies.
Right. What's that called when they, long after the movie's been made and they've made their salary off the movie and they get the dividends or residuals. There you go. That's what it is. I'm sure the actors that were in Contagion are getting huge residual checks right now.
Right.
Because I think everybody is watching Contagion again.
And an Outbreak. That's another good one. But separate from that, there's the end of the world type movies.
Right.
Which that's kind of what I'm wanting to go and find right now, because that's the whole prepper mindset.
Right.
The
one that we watched.
Road.
What was the one we watched with Gene Hackman and Will Smith recently?
Well, Enemy of the State.
Right.
But it didn't quite fit the bill.
It doesn't fit the bill. However, there's a piece of that about living off the grid where Gene Hackman was a guy that didn't trust the government and society.
But he had technology to hide him.
Yeah, he did. And that was actually pretty cool. So that would be the thing we would need to figure out is when we do build the bunker up in the mountains, we got to have connectivity of some sort, to still see what's going out in the world.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Because, just this nonsense whenever we watch those kind of movies and somebody is trying to dial in a ham radio.
Phone.
Yeah, I don't want to try to dial in a ham radio and try to pick up some sort of weird signal, So
no, you need to have satellite connectivity so you can.
Well, what happens if there's an what do they call it, the pulse, from the sun? That's going to disable all the satellites.
There is no connectivity. There's nothing left, unless you try the radio.
Smoke signals. Yep, that's what we're going to have to resort to. Okay, so movies. Back to movies. Outbreak you'd brought up.
Right.
I Am Legend. Where does that fit in there? That's still in
post-apocalyptic. That's zombies, but it's surviving.
Virus
after the end of the
though. It was a virus outbreak.
Yeah. And there's a couple
very potential outcome of coronavirus could
28 days later is another one like that.
Yeah, those are actually almost realistic type movies based on what coronavirus could turn into.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that it'll, what do they call it when it morphs? the virus.
Mutates.
Yeah,
Mutates,
when the virus finally mutates, which is going to happen, it's going to be COVID-20. It's going to mutate, and next thing you know, zombies.
All right.
It's going to be a matter of months before we see the Walking Dead on our streets.
You heard it here first, folks.
I'm just telling you, that's where we're headed. Especially when the guy sitting in the White House is more concerned about banning travel from Europe instead of...
Please don't get me started. Please don't make me go there.
All right, movies. Back to movies.
Okay.
Somebody brought up containment. So these and
pandemic.
Yeah. So there's a couple things on the list here where
movies we haven't heard of.
Right,
guys.
but some folks through social media have said, "Hey, you got to watch these things." So containment ones, pandemic, which is on Netflix right now. Which I think if it hasn't already been designated a pandemic, we're very, very close.
No, it is, yeah.
So at least in the U.S., it's not a global pandemic yet, I don't believe. But there's still some places in Botswana that are, COVID-19 free. There was one movie that we kind of came across, and I know that has existed for a long time, and I actually really want to watch. It's called The Road. With Vida Morganson.
And it sounds like it's going to be a bit intense, but that's
I think
that's the post-apocalyptic survival kind of thing that I'm wanting to watch right now.
Right. And then The Book of Eli, which is another one. We saw the one called The Children of Men.
No, I haven't seen that.
No, I haven't seen it, but we've been...
That's on the list.
It's on the list.
I want to see it.
Excuse me, that's the Paloma repeating itself.
You guys already know I've always been into disaster movies, but that's more natural disasters,
right?
Not
volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, frozen landscapes,
and those really just concentrate on getting through the disaster.
Jen, that's another podcast for another time.
Well, we've already done disaster movies, but
have we talked about natural disaster movies?
Yeah, like 2012, A Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've talked about those, but that's something different. This is life after the catastrophe.
Right.
How do you survive in a world without technology?
Right.
Fascinating.
Yeah, there was one other that somebody recommended to me on Amazon Prime Video, and that was Leave No Trace. But I haven't done any research on that one, so that's another one that we're going to have to.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to have movies to look up
potentially
that we haven't heard of.
Take a look at and watch on television in our leisure time, where we can have a lovely beverage, we can Netflix and chill. Right? Is that what the kids are calling it nowadays? Netflix and chill? I have no idea what that means.
Come on. Yes, you do.
It sounds sexual. So, is it?
Yes, dear.
Folks, if you could help me understand what Netflix and chill means, please go out to www.disturbintheburbs.com. Send us an email. There's places up there to send us an email, or you can just email us
to hear from you
at disturbintheburbs@gmail.com is our...
Explain Netflix and chill to us.
Thanks for sneezing, Teddy. That was the dog.
That was the dog, not us.
That was the dog sneezing, and he's probably sprayed COVID-19 all over the studio.
Dogs don't get it.
Well, animals are carriers, right?
I just heard that dogs can't spread the disease. That's what I heard.
Okay. Well, he spread something all over the studio. So.
He's our Bubba.
Yep. So speaking of watching TV and watching movies, something crazy happened to me the other night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We should talk about it. I posted about it on social media, but not everybody that listens to the podcast is a friend of mine on social media.
You got some good responses, though.
Yeah, it was really kind of interesting. So we had we been watching a movie?
In our room.
Yeah, in our room. So we've got a big TV in our bedroom. And we had been watching something on Netflix, I think, and gone to sleep. And in the middle of the night, sometimes I don't have a great back, so I get a sore back in the middle of the night and I've got a couple of comfy chairs in the bedroom, and I'll go up and I'll sit in a chair in the middle of the night until my back settles down and I can get back in bed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, TMI, right? It's like nobody gives a shit about my back. But anyway, so this is part of the story. So I got up to go sit in the chair. As soon as I sat in the chair, the goddamn TV turned on.
Freaky.
And that scared the shit out of me. And I kind of look at it and I see it kind of like Netflix is coming back on or something, but clearly the TV was off. And my first thought was, oh, Teddy had gotten up onto the nightstand to drink my cup of water that I have there, and he stepped on the remote. But when I immediately got up to turn off the TV, he was just kind of laying on the bed, half asleep.
Yeah.
So it wasn't him.
I'm sound asleep because I didn't know about any of this.
Right. And it had come on. I looked over at it, said, "What the fuck?" and then, the heart rate was. I should have actually put the blood pressure cuff on at that moment because I'm sure it was very, very high. And so then I just kind of get up. I look at the screen. There isn't some little girl named Carrie Ann going. What does she say? She said something.
You talking about Poltergeist?
Yes, Poltergeist. What does she say when she's in the TV?
I mean, she says, "Mommy."
Something like that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that, but that didn't happen.
Right.
In the 5 seconds. Now Teddy's like, "What the heck are you doing?" So anyway, I got up, got over, got the remote, right, turned it off, and and I was kind of half asleep, half awake anyway, so I didn't put much stock into it.
Okay.
Just kind of fell back asleep. It didn't keep me up or anything like that.
Anyway.
Because generally I'm a fairly logical person. I don't blow things out of proportion, and so I figured logically something must have happened.
Yeah.
But then I posted this up on social media, asking folks, what could possibly turn on my TV in the middle of the night.
Right.
And I got a bunch of suggestions, and I think we should talk about a few of these, and maybe talk about the probability of each. What do you think? You think we should do that?
I think that's perfect.
So probably the biggest suggestion was...
And my personal favorite.
The number one suggestion was, of course, Satan. So... I took pause when I saw that, and not only did it show up, once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
I mean, think about who your friends are.
Yeah.
Sick bastards.
Right. But, could it have literally, what's the probability of Satan actually turning on the TV in the middle of the night? I mean, what would his motivation be to turn on the TV?
To freak you out.
Do you think it was towards me personally, or was he just kind of bored and wanted to watch some TV? He mustered up the strength to turn on our television, and I thwarted him by turning it off, and therefore the rest of his evening was kind of kiboshed and boring. Because
this is why I see that scenario as fairly low probability.
So we're not going to give Satan a chance here.
I'm just saying.
All we are saying is give Satan a chance. Right? Isn't that a John Lennon and Yoko Ono song that they sang?
Totally.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that was interesting, but I didn't think it was very probable.
Chances are low.
Chances are fairly low. Right. However, the next suggestion, which showed up quite frequently, was the poltergeist / gremlin / ghost / phantom / board spirit.
Ghosts.
Right. Could it be some sort of, supernatural entity that had, and it would have to be, I think it is a certain type of spirit that could actually activate and push the button on the television remote.
I don't know.
I think everything that I've seen in movies is that when a ghost tries to touch something, his finger goes right through it. And he's
that would have to be a poltergeist.
He's like, damn it.
Poltergeists are the ones that move stuff around.
That can move stuff around. Right. So it's probably, let's
I'll put that slightly above Satan, but not much.
You don't think we have poltergeists around in the house?
I don't.
Have you not walked up the stairs up to our bedroom in the middle of the night with the lights off and the hair
I have
on
felt
your neck?
no malevolent energy.
Really?
Really?
I've smelled some malevolent energy. I've felt it in the middle of the night. That's where I'm going to insert the fart sound effect.
Okay, you do that. Make sure people know it's from your ass.
Right. No, it's maybe not from mine. So, I mean, maybe some sort of poltergeist, some sort of evil spirit. Maybe, there might be some possibilities there, but, is it not probable?
Not probable.
Okay. Well, then somebody suggested that maybe it was a hacker, some sort of hacker getting in.
Okay. I mean, I'll put this above the other two possibilities so far, but also still fairly low because how boring a hacker.
Right.
How bored does a hacker have to be to turn on our TV in the middle of the night?
He got into the Xfinity mainframe, found our account.
Thought it was cool that you called it. Oh, what do you call our Wi-Fi?
Nothing cool anymore. It's just sharing Wi-Fi.
Shoot. It used to be something funny.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe, hacker is probably not a great. Then somebody suggested dog or cat, and that was easy.
My mic was cutting out.
Oh.
Dog or cat, huh?
Yeah. And that's what I first thought. I thought it might be Teddy. Is everything okay over there?
Out.
What's cutting out?
I'm getting like feedback where it's out of my ear.
Uh-huh. We were knocking the poltergeist and see what happens.
Totally.
Yeah.
Dog or cat, huh?
Yeah. Why are you so confused with that one? That was my first thought, was that it was a dog.
I'm trying to give us a place to reset and start again.
Nice. Huh? Dog or cat? So why do you think dog or cat's so unusual?
Jesus, hon. I'm just saying. You could start it. You could cut it in. Splice me in right here.
So she's talking about that I'm not going to edit this out. This is very, very interesting. I'm going to leave this in. I'm going to leave this in the podcast. So
dog or cat, huh? You don't say.
You don't say.
Why is that a possibility?
One interesting thing. So this was kind of interesting. Somebody did say, how about airplane flying over in the flight path of that, and I'd have to do some research on this, but that sounds kind of interesting that there's some signal from the airplane flying over.
Yeah.
And now we are on the flight path for Payne Field. So we do have commercial airlines going over our house.
These theories are slightly getting more plausible as we go on. Did you do that on purpose?
Yes, I did, because the last one explains it all.
Okay, great.
So we still got a few more to go here. Now this one is believable. Friend Bobby Arispe suggested that it was Apple TV, and we do have an Apple TV plugged into HDMI. And there's some glitch known with things that plug into the HDMI outlet of smart TVs that if an Apple TV updates in the middle of the night, it can trigger a pulse that goes through and turns on your TV.
Jerks.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think that they do it on purpose, but there's something there. I'll have to do a little bit of research. But that one was kind of interesting and could potentially explain.
Way to go, Bobby.
I don't know. It's still kind of a little bit of a toss-up between that and Satan. But so far, I think Apple TV is probably a little bit more probable.
Right. Well, and the fact that it happened right after you moved from the bed to the chair, so you disturbed the settling
force.
in the room. Or
I think my electromagnetism as it's being pushed through the room.
That's my theory.
Turned it on. But then another friend said that smart TVs are never actually completely off, that there is a mechanism inside of it that's always on, and perhaps something within the smart TV was updated and it turned on.
Jerks.
Yeah. Then somebody suggested Netflix. Netflix could have done an update because they said, what did it turn on to? And I said, well, it turned on to Netflix. And so
this is the batch that makes the most sense to me.
Probably
these technology-related issues.
The last two, if I was a conspiratus, probably would be what I would choose. And that would be either one, Big Brother.
Government,
tapped into my
They
TV.
really wanted you to have that TV
There's
on.
probably somewhere in that smart TV, there in all of those pixels, you can reverse it into a camera. So they can literally watch us while we're watching TV or while we're sleeping or wherever our TVs are.
Don't freak me out.
Well, I'm not trying to. I'm just being real. And then the last one that somebody suggested that is probably spot on is Trump.
Don't say that word to me.
It could be Trump.
Stop saying that.
Trump.
Dude.
Trump. Folks, she's flipping me off. You can't see this through the microphones.
I don't want to hear that word.
Why?
Let's not go there.
I'm going to edit all this out.
What? Why? Because I don't like the word Trump?
It's anticlimactic.
I'm not the one who ended your list with Trump.
Mm-hmm. So all of this is getting edited out.
Why? You ended the list there. You don't want to talk about Trump at all?
I was just...
See, now you made me say it.
I was merely trying to give a valid reason for why the TV turned on in the middle of the night.
Trump is not a fucking reason that you're turning the TV on in the middle of the night.
Unexplainable, scary things.
You made me talk about him. Moving on.
No, I think there's a deep
I think that the TV came on
here.
for some sort of atmospheric pressure change when you move from the bed to the chair.
Yeah, that's explains it.
That does explain it. That's my theory.
Atmospheric pressure change. The only atmospheric pressure changes that happen in our room are after a night of taco salads and too much cheese and beef.
Whatever.
Hey.
I'm just saying, you moved in the room and the TV popped on.
Yeah. I have that kind of effect.
It's not the T word.
Yeah.
Don't you edit out my comments.
I love you. Thanks for chatting with me. It's been fun talking about
I love you too, honey.
Coronavirus and preppers and...
We'll survive to do another podcast. We promise.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening.
Later.